What's going on, everybody? It's your host, the Sports Moose, coming at you here with Thunderdome Puckcast. Got quick series preview for you. Of course, NHL moving to series this season. 2 games back-to-back against the same team. Lightning open up the 2021 season against the Chicago Blackhawks. We're here to preview that and more right after this. You're doing well out there, staying safe. I'm your host, of course, Sports Moose, coming at you here live with the Thunderdome Puckcast. Hope you've had an opportunity to listen to our latest return episode. We're back from the long layoff. Episode 26 is out now on your favorite podcasting platform. Down below, Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast. It's there, I promise you. And if you like watching our video, of course, kind of some audio-visual stuff we always have going on, make sure you follow us on YouTube at The Sports Heap, and of course, at our Facebook page, which is also The Sports Heap, kind of our mother podcast, our mother organization of all our shows and segments, The Sports Heap. Right, everybody. Hope again you are ready for some NHL action. Bolts are back. NHL is back. Gonna be a heck of a sprint to the finish line here. Of course, season getting going here in mid-January. Playoffs tentatively, I think, ready to start in May. And in theory, hopefully, we are back to our usual October to April schedule for the 2021-2022 season. But we're not there yet. Got to get through 2021, and it's going to be a heck of a year if you're a Bolts fan. Of course, talk about the new division, episode 26. Bolts in the Central Division with the NHL moving to divisional play. Bolts only get to see 7 other opponents before the playoffs. And even in the playoffs, it's 2 rounds of divisional play. So if you don't like seeing the Blackhawks and the Predators and the Blue Jackets, you're going to have a rough time this season, because that's all we're going to see this season. That's okay. We want to make sure our players are safe, making sure that as the pandemic hopefully de-escalates or relaxes, hopefully, as we get to the spring and the summer, hockey players stay safe. But it's going to be an exciting season no matter what. It's 56 games. Is a legitimate season. Yeah, I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say still about the COVID Cup that the Lightning won. Still think probably one of the most difficult feats in sports to play in a bubble and to win the championship like that, especially in hockey, where it's really, truly anyone could win the tournament anywhere from the 1 to the 8 seed. But we're here to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks and the Lightning, of course, getting started this season. And let me tell you how excited the Chicago Blackhawks fan community is. They're so excited that I couldn't even find any of their trusted blogs, any of their prospect blogs, who have any sort of inkling what the starting lineup is going to be. I think the latest news is a few players being sent down to Rockford, the Rockford Ice Hogs being the AHL affiliate for the Chicago Blackhawks. Really, very little excitement in the Blackhawks front. You know, plenty of Lightning material talking about what we think the opening night roster is going to look like. Of course, a lot of the moves being finalized this afternoon and evening, kind of solidifying what the roster looks like. We'll talk about that in a moment. But no projections for lines, no projections for defensive pairings. I mean, I guess it is what it is when you have Seabrook and Heath. And I think Zadorov was a big move for the Blackhawks, trying to get a little bit tougher on defense. But yeah, no talk about what the heck is going on with the Blackhawks. I think they're anticipating a disappointing season. Let's move over to the preview, of course. Lightning slated to raise the banner in front of no fans, unfortunately. Lightning opening up, I think, their first 4 in Tampa, 2 against the Blackhawks, and what should have been 2 against the Dallas Stars this weekend. Fortunately, with COVID, Dallas is in quarantine. I think game 2 of the series is slated to still happen, but game 1 still kind of to be determined. Wouldn't be surprised if that gets pushed to a back-to-back situation. Not sure if the NHL's decided if they're going to cancel games outright and move to a winning percentage type of model. Hopefully not. I feel like it's a little bit too early in the season to be making those calls. But again, really, from the Chicago Blackhawks standpoint, a couple key players acquired over the offseason. We talked about Nikita Zadorov, huge defenseman, hard-hitting defenseman coming out of the Colorado system. Again, really not going to produce much in terms of points, but he is among one of the top hitters in the league. So he's been over in the hundreds, 150, 175 range over the last few seasons. So again, a little bit of grit for the Blackhawks. They'll need it in this division. Definitely some offensive-minded teams here. So hopefully Zadorov can help put some pressure on the Lightning and other offensive teams like Dallas. Brandon Peary spent a little bit of time in the NHL last year. Dependable question mark. I don't really know how our Blackhawks fans out there feel. I don't know. I wouldn't expect too much from him. I'll be more of a depth player. Kind of a big pickup here from Dallas. Mattias Janmark. Kind of a top 6, top 9 type of role. I think he can make an impact here. What that impact is going to be. Is it going to be profound? It's going to be difficult to say. Again, I would have loved to seen projected lines for the Blackhawks, and maybe those come out tomorrow. Again, I guess not too much excitement for Blackhawks hockey this year, especially with the very clear and evident rebuild. Carl Soderberg, kind of a decent splash there, but having some troubles getting into the country with visa issues. So we'll have to see how that goes. Of course, the big loss in goal, it's going to be Corey Crawford. Ended up retiring and moved on to New Jersey. Got through camp, decided to call it a career. And then Ali Mata. And I think Zadorov's a pretty formidable replacement here. I think kind of a tit for tat there. Both specialize in hitting and not so much on the offensive or point producing front. So I think they got a little bit of an upgrade here. But other than that, I mean, one of the headlines, of course, is Blackhawks go from one of the best goalie tandems, of course, last year of Crawford and Robin Lehner ended up moving on to Vegas for their run. It's one of the worst. Colin Delia, who played a good chunk of games for the Blackhawks last year, and Malcolm Subban, who I believe came over in the trade for Robin Lehner. So you go from a pretty awesome goalie tandem to what their own fans are calling one of the worst goalie tandems ever. It's not a secret, of course. Jonathan Taves with some news of not being available, at least immediately, for I don't know if it's injury or illness related. Alex Nylander not available to start. You're going to be relying on your usuals. We all love we love Kubalik. Dahan, I think, had a solid season last year. It's just Keith getting old. I mean, can he continue to produce? We've seen kind of the downward trend with Chara, and again, really expecting a lot for Zadorov. Shaw is back. That's true. Shaw's still there. Maybe again a little bit of grit there, and again, really two players to watch. It's gonna be Brinkat and Kubalik. along with Kaner as he's still there. With the Blackhawks, it's just going to be a rough season. I mean, there's just really no getting around that. It's not much to get excited for. Brent Seabrook, I think, not available. We talked about Soderbergh having issues with visa to get to Chicago. Seabrook, I don't think has been skating, so definitely not going to be ready for the first week or two. Especially no preseason, which I guess is one of the positives here of COVID, is showing that major sports leagues don't need a preseason. Well, there's been a little bit of injury trouble early on in the NFL. But that's really what it looks like on the Blackhawks front. I mean, you're going to have some challenges scoring. You're going to have some challenges in net. And it's the exact opposite of the Lightning, unfortunately. Lightning blog and Lightning media really excited for the season. Moves being finalized today, of course, with some quote-unquote garbage moves that had to be made, with Luke Shen and Tyler Johnson being put on waivers again. No one claimed them, so they'll be taxi squad and likely be moved back up into the main squad at some point this season. Of course, the big news is Cal Foote, defensive prospect, making the team, and still a question of what's great though is he is not waiver eligible, so he can move up and down this year. He's waiver exempt, which is awesome. Gets to start out with the team though. I really like that, pairing him with Sergei on the third pairing on defense. Really a prospect that we had been waiting for. I know we had to give away one of the other Foots in trades, so we got to retain Cal. Again, highly touted defensive prospect. See how it goes. Of course, Victor Hedman filling the number one hole, pairing with Jan Ruda. I wasn't expecting that we were going to get maybe a Victor, maybe a Eric Chernak pairing. I would have loved to see Hedman and Sergachev, but I think it's just a little bit too much of a liability. That's a very offensively focused pairing there. So we've got Hedman with Ruda projected. We've got McDonough and Chernak, and then Sergachev and Cal Foote. Of course, Vassy and Curtis McElhenney backstopping the team. I think where it gets interesting, of course, with the absence of Nikita Kucherov, which we discussed in episode 26. You're going to see Cirelli get some second line time. What I really like is it seems they're projected to keep the our famed third line from the playoffs, Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow, and Yanni Gourde together, which I really, really like. And then Pat Maroon, Big Rig, is back for another season. Very team-friendly contract. Mitchell Stevens is going to get full-time NHL action. Pretty impressed with what we saw in the playoffs. And then Matthew Joseph back into the mix. I think you remember from our earlier podcasts, earlier episodes, as we previewed the 2019-2020 season, Matthew Joseph for me was a player that it was kind of a step up or shut up type of season. Unfortunately, just didn't work out. Got sent down to Syracuse. Never really made his way back up. Hoping he's ready to go. He's got the speed. Hopefully he's got the experience now. I think he just needed reps. Wasn't going to really get it third, fourth line here. And even if he is on the fourth line, I think it's more valuable time now than it would have been last year at this same point. I think a little bit of a stretch asking Alex Killorn to play second line minutes. I don't know if I like these projections now that I'm looking at these a little bit more. And it's almost like I feel like I say the same thing every time about Andre Palat. He is the player to watch. It's going to be critical that he gets off to a fast start. We talked about this in the restart as well. I mean, if he didn't play the way he played, Lightning don't win the Stanley Cup. He's got to play out of his mind to just keep the team afloat. Braden Point, of course, works a huge season. Semi-bridge contract signed. Freshly signed, I think, a year or two ago. So no worries there. And Stammer, he's back healthy. Got to get some production from Stammer. So Don't forget about Volkov, played a little bit of time in the playoffs. So, gonna be tough sledding for the Bolts. I mean, I didn't want to get too cocky about, just go ahead and give us a Central Division here. This is really, it's time to produce. We've been developing a few of these players. Volkov's been in the system for a little bit. Joseph's been in the system for a little bit. And Palat's got to just be reliable more so than he usually is. Not more so than he usually is, just more so than we can expect. Usually it's a slow start and then he gets going. We have to get production from him. Probably going to have some pretty heavy production for Braden Point as well. And Stamkos has got to step back in and stay healthy. Please stay healthy, Stammer. That's all we need. So in terms of the series, we're playing, I think it's Wednesday, Friday for this series. Lightning, of course, raising up the banner tonight, I should say, on NBC Sports. Make sure you're tuned in for that. That takes us to the tail of the tape, kind of closing out, and from what we know, where we think each team dominates, and it's pretty clear. Of course, looking at Chicago's record last year, 72 points in the shortened season. Bolts, one of the highest point totals at 92 points, 43 wins, versus the 32 that the Hawks had last year. Of course, absolutely new year. I do expect a little bit of misery for Hawks fans this year. Hopefully not so much of a Stanley Cup hangover. But now looking at the projections, I do think the roster's a little bit weaker. I'm kind of concerned about scoring, not going to lie. I guess we have to trust the process, trust that Julien Brisebois has had the right guys in the minors and developing, and that they're ready to play at an NHL level and produce at the level needed to get us through these 56 games, hopefully get to the playoffs and get Nikita Kucherov back in the fold. Offense, I think, no question. We talked about Jonathan Taves out, a few other key offensive producers out for Chicago, and really just minimal work done to bring in any offense as part of the rebuild. I think they're going to be focused on building in the draft. Young stars like Kubalik and DeBrincat starting to build a new core there. They're just not there. Defense, of course, I think also goes to the Lightning. Their core is in place. Unfortunately for Chicago, you're aging out with Keith, you're aging out with Seabrook, and it's going to just take a little bit to get those defensive prospects up and ready to play. So I think Lightning own the advantage there. Goaltending, their own fans saying that they're moving to one of the worst goalie tandems in the league. Of course, with Delia and both Subban unproven. Bassey's coming off another Vezina type season, losing it narrowly, of course, to our goalie out in Winnipeg. Just absolutely amazing season by him, by Connor Hellebuck. No dice on the power play penalty kill yet. We're going to give that a couple games to develop, though. I'm going to suspect the Lightning are going to have a pretty decent PK and PP. Coaching, I think Chicago coaches third or fourth season right now. His name's escaping me. John Cooper heading to his 9th or 10th season with the Lightning. And overall, we know the Bolts are the better team here. Wouldn't be surprised if they roll and take both games of this series. Again, it's a whole new season. You get 2 games back to back. You got to wonder, with this being a sprint, is Curtis McElhinney going to be playing a little bit more, draw in a little bit more than he usually does. We'll have to wait and see. That's been your quick series preview. Lightning and Hawks. So excited we're back. Make sure you tune in. Every Monday is when we're going to be dropping new content, new formal podcasts and video podcasts coming out. So episode 27 coming out this Monday coming up. And we'll be dropping mini videos like this, previewing the upcoming series, news and tidbits for the Lightning, all sorts of different stuff. Excited to be moving around the studio here making it look more like a studio, and being here for you guys. A couple live shows as well. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Moose_TSH, and follow us on Facebook at The Sports Heap. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe, as well as on YouTube at The Sports Heap. We're getting the YouTube channel going once again. It's been your host of Sports Moose, Thunderdome Podcast. We'll see you next time here on TPC. Take care.